How long have I been doing that wrong? Oh, hi. No, come in, come in. We were just playing this here game of Netrunner, the card game. That Netrunner, that maybe you didn't even realize was still being produced at an extremely high level of quality by an unwavering fan-based organization called Null Signal Games. And no, it's not a dead game. It's doing super great, thank you very much, and you should start playing it. And my friend Nick here, say hi, Nick. He just pointed out that I've been playing a rule wrong for like ever. So I've been playing. What, Nick? Make a video about it? No one would watch that. Anyway, I want to continue this conversation with our intriguing and stylish guest here. You see, guest, I could write a book or even produce a short video about all the things that I messed up playing Netrunner, the card game. Nick, I have a great idea. Let's tell them about some rules mistakes they might be making. What? Perhaps the most ubiquitous rules blunder, one that most players either make or have to explain at some point, is assuming all subroutines on ice end the run. Most new players assume that when you hit a tithe that the run is over, but because tithe doesn't feature those three magical words, end the run, you just do the subroutines as they're printed. Do 1 net damage, so the runner takes a damage from their hand, losing a card. Gain 1 credit, the corp gains 1 credit, and then the runner gets to continue on their merry way so long as they didn't get flatlined in the process. Another super common mistake is installing the wrong combination of cards into a remote server. There's 3 kinds of cards that can go into a remote: assets, agendas, and upgrades. For assets and agendas, you can only have one of either of them installed in a remote. If you want to install both, they'll have to be in separate remote servers. But when it comes to upgrades, like a wise automobile salesperson once said, you can fit so many upgrades in this baby. The baby here is the remote server, and it's a meme. It's about cars. What that means is that if your opponent has 4 cards in a remote server, you know that 3 of them are upgrades and only one of them is either an asset or an agenda. Here's a rule that took me a while to realize was even a thing you could do. Let's say you have an absolute clown car of a remote server built with 4 upgrades, and on a critical turn you draw into the agenda that you need to jam this turn to win the game, but you've got this asset here, this mostly used up Nico campaign that's just taken up all that useful space in the server, so you can't put this thing in there. I got you. When you go to install that agenda in the remote, you can first opt to trash any and all cards that are in this remote server before installing the actual agenda. So you can go to install the send a message here in this case, trash the Nico campaign, which sends it over into archives. If you then wanted to trash any of these other upgrades, for whatever reason you could, and then you can install the agenda. No issue fitting that card into the server. Lots of folks refer to this as overinstalling or overwriting. That's not an official NSG term in the rules, by the way. One cool thing that you can do with overwriting in this game, let's say you've installed and double advanced this agenda. So send a message in this case. You actually can't defend it, but you're going to push. If the runner calls your bluff and runs this server, if you can res and fire a drafter, that second subroutine, you may install 1 card from archives or HQ, ignoring all costs, will allow you to install a spin doctor if you have it in hand or in your archives, overwriting the send a message, get it, yeah? And this card, this thing that you don't want them to get, goes into archives. And then before they finish getting here, or if they jack out and try and run the archives server to go get it, then you can res your spin doctor, draw 2 cards, and then remove it from the game to shuffle this send a message back into R&D where it's safe, relatively speaking. One warning, you will feel cool when you do this and someone will probably try and give you a high five. Also, you can trash ice whenever you install new ice the same way. So before I install a piece of ice, I can trash as many ice on the server as I want, which avoids extra installation costs. Usually if you see words on a corp card like you may install a card ignoring all costs, these are the costs that you get to ignore. And they do stack up. Ooh, Nick, a pun. Runners can overinstall cards too, but only programs, not resources or hardware. But Eric, I hear you say, how will I remember which cards I can overinstall as the runner? Just remember, Bobnor. That's it. Penguins can bribe owls, but never hold on to ravioli. Do you love words and being real specific about them? Well, buckle up. The basic action card for the corp says, click 1 credit, advance 1 installed card. But it should really say something like, spend a click and a credit to advance an agenda or a card that can be advanced due to a card effect, which is a bit of a mouthful. To rephrase, you can't just advance any card you like. The only type of card that can always be advanced is an agenda. If a card other than an agenda says that it can be advanced or this card may be advanced, then you could advance that card even when it's face down or unresed. Examples include Ice Wall, Urtica Cipher, or even some upgrades like Vladisibirsk City Grid. Okay, that's advancing cards. Then there are cards like Seamless Launch, which place advancement counters on a card. Here's the real specific language thing. Advancing a card and placing advancement counters are not the same thing in this game. This has a few implications. You can use a Seamless Launch to advance any card on the board so long as it wasn't installed that turn, because that's the restriction on Seamless Launch. So you could use a Seamless to advance a Regolith Mining License or a Snare on the table. Another one is Oaktown Renovation, which gives you credits when you advance it, not when you place advancement counters on it. So you won't get any money if you use a Seamless for an Oaktown. Oh, Seamless also gets around the clause on Isuak about scoring an agenda that you did not install or advance this turn. Placing advancement counters is not advancing, so you get the power counter on Isuak. And there you have it, oh wise and esteemed guest. What a journey we've had together. What? What's the matter?
Eric, this is weird. Where'd you get those pictures?
Don't forget to like and subscribe.